you have taken it more than once. You're in the record. Awesome.
How many of you have seen the 2 questions or so that I brought up? Statutes and rules important to real estate, chapter 2. So we're talking about 6% of the state exam here. Chapter 20. They have been asking on chapter 20 of the Florida statute, organizational structure. It governs the executive branch of Florida government. The executive branch of Florida government is what gives the DBPR the power to do what they do. So they're asking on chapter 20 right now on the state exam. So you want to know what chapter 20 does is allow the DBPR to pretty much govern multiple occupations in the state of Florida. Now the big one is 475 of the Florida statutes. This is real estate license law. Who passes law in the state of Florida for real estate? It is not FREC. Okay? The entity charged with passing rules is FREC. Laws are passed by state legislators, the state senate in particular. All right? Chapter 475 of the Florida statute was created in 1923. In 1925, FREC was formed to enforce the law. They can enforce that law on licensees and people who are not licensed, and that pops up on the state exam, okay? So if you're out practicing without a license, you might get in front of FREC, right? FREC is limited to only handing down administrative penalties, right? Such as fines, suspension, revocation, the fact that you can never apply for a license again. But many of these, and for the most sake, most of 475 can also be a criminal violation, of which they'll refer you to the state attorney's office for criminal prosecution at that point. Okay? Part 1 pertains to real estate brokerage. That's the one I want you guys to really know, and they do ask on part 3 and part 4. All right? So how do we differentiate between 475, 455, and 61J2? I know a lot of students have a problem with that. 475, again, is law passed by state legislators. 61J2 are FREC rules. FREC, under their quasi-legislative powers, create and pass rules. And what are the difference between laws and rules? Laws have a victim or a potential victim. Rules, you won't find the victim or potential victim. What are some rules? 10 days to change your email address or your mailing address, mutual recognition, kind of go on. And as we go through some of these, I will point out rule or law. What are some laws? Giving an opinion and title. Only an attorney can render such an opinion. So wouldn't it be true that if I gave you an opinion and title, even though the opinion and title was good, that you could have been victimized? Because I'm not capable of giving you such an opinion. So look out for that. Even though there may not have been a victim, there was a potential victim. As per Florida law, you can't cut somebody's hair without a license. Therefore, you could be victimized of having a bad haircut. Part 3 and Part 4. Part 3 is the Commercial Real Estate Sales Commission Lien Act. If you're ever circumvented in a commercial transaction, buyer and seller go behind your back, put the deal together, you don't get paid. As per Part 3 of 475, you can lien the seller's proceeds to collect payment. Well, they left out leases. So what did they do? They added in Part 4. If you're circumvented on a commercial lease, you can also lien the seller's proceeds. Any questions on that? 455, also law, Florida statute, right? Now the difference here is, could this particular situation that you're reading not only cover real estate licensees, but maybe cosmetologists, maybe engineers, electricians, accountants? And if so, then it would be a violation of 455. These are laws that govern the various occupation that the DBPR handles. Okay? Such as you have 30 days to let them know if you've been convicted of a crime once you're licensed. And then we talked about 61J2, right? FREC rules. Just wanted you to see which ones lie where, and as we go through some of these laws and rules, I'll point out which ones they are. Talked about this. All right, sales associates are employed by and work under the direction and control of a real estate broker or an owner developer. Hence, look out for things like this. Not and or. It's just one or the other. Okay, so if you're taking the state exam, you'll see about the gentleman that worked for the developer on the weekends and blah, blah, blah. No. You can only work for one. Once you guys get licensed, can you work for any broker? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Don't fall for that one on the state exam. Any broker means you can work for as many brokers as you want, right? At the same time. You can work for your employing broker. This is what the state exam does, so that's why I'm just throwing this out there. You can only work for your employing broker. Not for any broker at the same time, right? Military veteran fee waiver for 5 years or 60 months, which is the same time frame. A honorably discharged veteran or his spouse would not have to pay any fees to the DBPR for application, for renewal. So for the 5 years after they were discharged, they do not have to pay anything. All right, non-resident applicants. You do not need to be a U.S. citizen. You do not need to reside in the state of Florida. Furthermore, you can have a brokerage office in New York. Perfectly legal. You would have to follow Florida law. But maybe your gig is to find snowbirds that are looking to move to Florida. You got an office there and you fly down a couple times a month and show them penthouses in Brickell. That might be your thing, right? And you can't have that office in New York. All right? If you are ever a Florida resident and decide to move out of the state of Florida, you must notify them within 60 days. If you're a non-resident from the get-go, they already had you sign what's known as the irrevocable consent to service form. That states that if a complaint or you're charged and you need to come in front of FREC, that you travel down here to defend yourself. This is the purpose behind letting them know you're now a non-resident, right? This doesn't change the fact that within 10 days, you still have to maintain a good mailing address or email address and an email address with them. We don't have reciprocity except for in one situation, which this is a new law they like to ask on. The spouse of an active military member who is transferred to Florida for active duty, and that spouse has a real estate license in any of the 50 states, they will grant him or her a real estate license in Florida. We took the course a little while ago, and the slide will say a temporary 6-month license. So if you took the course maybe last year or something, that's what your book's gonna say. It is no longer a 6-month temporary license. It is a full-blown real estate license, okay?
That's for the spouse and the.
Just the spouse in this case. All right, what we do have is mutual recognition with 7 other states. You don't need to know the names of the states. You want to know how it works. And what I'm going to explain to you, and the only thing you need to be concerned with, is how it works when they come to the state of Florida, not when we're licensed and we leave the state of Florida, because that's going to vary with those other states. How does it work when they come here? First off, they need to apply for this before they become a resident of Florida. What is that? 4 calendar months. If they're here for 4 months, they no longer qualify for mutual recognition. So within the first 4 months of moving here or prior to moving here, they can do, many of them do this. Illinois is a big one right now that's getting Florida licenses. They have no intention of ever moving here. They just want the license and they can apply from there. And not have to do everything that you did. Okay? And all they have to do is take a 40-question law exam. And because there is Pearson views in Illinois, New York, and pretty much all over the country, they never even have to step foot here.
Take the 40 questions before the 4 months.
Correct. Take the 40-question law exam prior to becoming a resident of the state of Florida. All right. Certain other people don't have to do as much as you do, and I always get an attorney in a class, there might be one here today, right? That attorney, and this is what's on the state exam, does not have to take maybe that online course you took, that Go Cold course, or whatever course you did in fact take. They don't have to do that. They can go straight and take the state exam. Now they have to take all of the other courses, such as the post-licensing. They don't, however, have to do the 14-hour continuing education. All right, so they don't have to do what we could consider the first course, right? And that last course that you always have to take every 2 years after. Somebody with a 4-year degree in real estate, bit of a misconception, because if they have a 4-year degree,